Hello. As I'm not a medical doctor or professional in the field, please don't take any of this information for any medical advice. Don't use this information during emergencies for your physical health and for your mental health. This video is just to help expand your thinking patterns. I'm just speaking from what my truth feels like, but you can take this knowledge however you feel. Please enjoy this video, and I hope you take something beneficial out of it. Thank you. Enjoy. Hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whoever you're watching this. So for this video, we're going to talk about suffering. But before we start, I want to just inform you guys that this subject may be triggering to some. So if you need to, take a step back, stop this video, or just stop watching if this is too much. And yeah, so we're going to move on from there. So for suffering, what is suffering? So I wrote down the Google Dictionary definition, and it says, repeated thoughts that make you feel stuck, defeated. So Google Dictionary also suggests that suffering means undergoing painful distress or hardship. So a suffering, either could be long-term or short-term. It matters of how we think. For instance, if something happens and then you keep thinking about it, you're continuously suffering from the incident, even if the incident did pass. So let's say, for example, you just left a relationship and you're hurting from it. Embrace the hurt, but don't suffer from it. What I mean by that is that when the incident happens, when you guys break up, it's gonna hurt. So just embrace it, don't judge it, just like let it flow through you. Feel all your emotions that you need to feel. But as time go on, you may still feel that emotion because you keep thinking about that moment. To help reduce your suffering, stop thinking about the moments that make you suffer. When the time passed, continue on with your thought process with the current moments. So only think of the now, the current present moment. If you just think of the past and the future, you're going to put yourself through suffering. So the past, you may think about situations that may make you feel anxious, worried, upset. In the future, if you think about that, you may get emotions that make you feel like the same things, like anxious, worried, upset, frightened. Why put yourself through that when you're not even in that timeline? You're in the current timeline, and there's always going to be current. There's no such thing as the past or the future. So for a personal example, I used to have a job when I was 15. I used to work at McDonald's, and I would only work on weekends as I was in high school during the weekdays. I would always put myself through suffering before I would work there during the weekdays, as I really did not like working there. Like, I hated it. So as I hated it so much, I put myself through suffering during the weekdays, even though I wasn't even there, by thinking about my upcoming shifts that I would need to do on the weekends. Even like, so on Wednesdays, I'm like thinking of like the crappy weekend I'm gonna have because I work on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Even though it was only Wednesday and I wasn't even at work. I was at school actually doing whatever at school. As I had my brain focused on the weekend, my emotions were suffering. I felt anxious, I felt upset, and I was just not in a good mood as I was always thinking about being at work even though I wasn't at work. I would feel like that I was at work emotionally, even at school, just because my thoughts and my mind was in the future, a time that didn't even exist. So when I think about suffering, like the word, the meaning, and then I say we can control our own suffering just by controlling our mind. Easier said than done, typically. People would say, well, why would I choose suffering? Why would I do that? So that question got me thinking, if you lived like a life they experience continuous suffering like from one incident to the next, all these like experiences that you experience are just full of hurt and just suffering. You may base your life on those experiences with your biased opinions, and you may look at life as a whole as just a whole suffering experience. With suffering as well, people may put themselves in suffering situations, and people such as let's say staying in an unhealthy relationship. That individual who is in that unhealthy relationship could be aware that the relationship is unhealthy, but they choose to stay in it for whatever reason. But one of the reasons can be because they may be used to that suffering, and that suffering actually can calm them, as they can predict it. They can predict what they experience throughout the suffering, even though that suffering can hurt them. So let's say people be like, hey, why would you like stay in that relationship? Why don't you just leave? That person might be uncomfortable in that suffering situation. We are more comfortable at what we can predict than what we don't know. We fear the unknown. So someone may actually be afraid of being in a healthy relationship, as they always find themselves comfortable in an unhealthy relationship. So with that being said, we create our own suffering by our thinking patterns. We dwell on the things that are damaging to our emotions and our thought processes, and it happens a lot, and it happens unconsciously, consciously, of all levels. It's just part of the human experience. But we can minimize or even eliminate our suffering by a couple of strategies that we can practice to help eliminate suffering. For example, gratitude. Gratitude is one of the great ways to help eliminate suffering. With gratitude, you focus on the things that you're grateful for, which help enhances your body emotions. You get excited, you feel grateful, and it just shifts the energy within you and outside of you. At least, I myself personally, I like to practice gratitude every day. I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for every day in a notebook. And then I reread them after I write them, just to like have it sink in, like, man, I do have it good, regardless of the situation that's happening. There's always something grateful that you can be grateful for. Another thing that can help reduce suffering is just be in the present moment. Like what we discussed before is when you think about the present, in the past, in the future, it creates suffering. Why create yourself suffering when you don't need to? You're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're in the now. And the now, when you really focus on the now, it's not suffering. If you're currently going through, let's say, an incident that just happened that just hurt you emotionally, embrace it. Don't judge it. Let it go through you. Let your emotions happen, because in the human experience, we need to express our emotions. With release, it helps us overcome that painful moment. So don't judge the emotions. Don't suppress it. Just let it come out. If you cry, cry. If you laugh, laugh. Do what you need to do to express the energy of emotions that is in you that needs to be expressed. So be in the present moment, regardless of that present moment. When that present moment passes, go into the next present moment. So you're just always like shifting present moment to present moment, from here to here, from here to here. Within that present moment, there was like, you're watching this video. So you're just concentrating on what I'm saying right now. Super listening skills right there. But there's no point in thinking of the past or the future unless you need to plan. Let's say you have kids and there's like a soccer meeting you need to attend to in like a week or so. Put that on the calendar, set it down. Okay, if you need to prepare for something, prepare for that activity. When you prepare for activity, be in that moment in preparation of that activity. Let's say you need to do some baking for an upcoming event. Be present in that baking task. Don't think about the past or the future. Be present when you pour that sugar, when you pour that other ingredient or something. Always be in the now if you can. You can always be in the now at any time, if that makes sense. Another thing to help reduce or eliminate suffering is to serve others. So as a human experience, we are social beings. And when we help other people, it's not only going to help them, it's going to help us internally, as it makes us feel good and proud, like, man, I really helped that person. You can do this by volunteering your time of some organization. You can do as like a simple task as picking up garbage, opening a door, giving someone a compliment. Just something you can do from your free time or any time to help benefit another person. Serving others is a great way to help reduce suffering. Another great way to help reduce suffering is just being self-aware. So like before, as we talked about expressing your emotions when you need to, be aware of what you're expressing and why you're expressing it. Be aware of how you're feeling. Say if you're feeling upset because of the breakup, embrace it and be really aware of that upsetness that you're feeling and just let it pass you. Don't judge it, don't manipulate it, just be aware of it. The reason why I'm so focused on being aware of what you're feeling and why you're feeling is that it helps you understand everything, like why you're feeling and how you're feeling it, and like with understanding you can make sense of it. When you make sense of things, you make barriers to prevent it from being oppressed. When you oppress emotions, it can cause problems down the road in your life, those current moments. So I recommend just like recognizing how you're feeling and why you're feeling, and just really embrace it. Don't manipulate it, don't judge it, just let it go through you. So a way to help embrace that feeling, I do this, I recommend it, is meditation. With meditation, it helps you focus on the here and now, is what we talked about. It helps you focus what you're feeling and why you're feeling. It is a great tool to do for at least like 5 to 10 minutes a day. If you're really busy, do it every other day. With meditation, there's many types of meditation that you can practice. I myself personally practice guided meditation. I just go on YouTube, I type in a certain type of meditation that I want to practice, such as fighting the ego or self-love, anything like that, and then I just do it. I do usually 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because I do have a tendency to fall asleep. So I know that's a thing for a lot of people. I myself, what helps me to meditate is I don't have my back leaning on anything, because once I have my back leaning on something, I fall asleep if I have my eyes closed for a certain period of time. I like sleeping. But I do encourage meditation. It's a great way of understanding the self. It's a great way to understand what you need and why. For instance, if you feel really, really anxious, with meditation you understand why you're anxious, the anxious feeling itself, and what you need to do in order to feel less anxious, such as calming. Meditation itself is a great way to release anxiety. And suffering. Meditation is a great way to release suffering as you're in the current moment. You don't focus in the present, or in the past, or the future. You're directly in the present moment. In fact, most meditations focus on the breath. Just the breath, nothing else. You don't manipulate it. Well, you can if you want to by doing big breaths. But sometimes meditations, they tell you just to breathe. Don't manipulate it, just focus on that breathing. It's just, don't even judge it, just breathe like you normally do. It's kind of funny because majority of the time we don't know that we're breathing, but we're always continuous breathing, but we just don't know it. When you're aware of it, you tend to unconsciously maybe manipulate it, like maybe take a deep breath or breathe louder or what have yous. With meditation is sometimes, in guided meditations, I personally experience them saying, just breathe, don't manipulate it, just go with it, and just be super aware of it. When you're aware of your breath, you're aware of the present moment because you're so focused on that breathing, and your breathing is always in the current moment. From one breath to the next, those moments pass and go. So within this video, we talked about the definition of suffering, why we suffer, why we continue to suffer, and how to conquer suffering. As I can talk about this topic for a very long period of time, please let me know in the comments section of any questions, concerns, or anything, or if you want me to elaborate on anything in another video, please let me know in that section so I can just make another video. I hope this video helps you understand more about what suffering is and how to help reduce it or even eliminate it. I hope you guys take something good out of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.